right, it's now 9 minutes after 7. It's time for State of the Nation, where we'd like to weigh in on some of the things that have been happening in the nation. And we start off with, well, President Uhuru Kenyatta declaring that he would not assent to the Parliamentary Service Bill 2018, which proposes more benefits for members of Parliament. Kenyatta, who spoke at a stopover in the county of Kiambu, stated that the elected leaders should be more concerned about changing the lives of their constituents rather than pursuing selfish agenda.
In what is threatening to be another altercation between the presidency and parliament, President Kenyatta's vowed not to sign the bill, which will make it possible for lawmakers to increase their salaries and allowances. The bill seeks to give the Parliamentary Service Commission powers to determine the packs of the 416 members of the National Assembly and the Senate, as well as their 2 speakers. From the debates in Parliament, the bill is set to sail through with overwhelming support from both sides of the political divide. The president is having none of that.
Kuna mambo ingine watu wanajaribu kupitisha huko bunge, na mimi vile nimesikia wananchi wakisema, wanasema wamechoka na hii mambo ya viongozi kujiongeza mshahara. Na mimi nasema, mimi naungana na wananchi.
Kenyatta urged political leaders to stop being selfish and put the needs of Kenyans before their own. If signed into law, the bill proposes expanded benefits that will see all MPs enjoy rent-free housing, a government vehicle, expanded medical cover, among other benefits. Questions abound as to whether the president can refuse to assent to the Parliamentary Service Bill. The all-important Parliamentary Service Commission is the only independent commission yet to be aligned with the 2010 Constitution. The PSC Act of 2002 recognizes Parliament as the National Assembly, despite Kenya having a bicameral parliament. The PSC Bill of 2018 seeks to fix that anomaly. The political sideshows are happening at a time Parliament has moved to clip the wings of the Clerk of Parliament, who acts as Secretary and CEO of the Parliamentary Service Commission.
All right, and I'll start with the Honorable Kirwa, the president there making some statements, and we can hear cheers from the crowd. So one would know that that's a popular thing, but is that really what is in his heart, that he may not assent to the bill?
Well, whatever is popular is not always right. I remember about 30 years ago when I first became a member of Parliament. Parliament was a department in the office of the president. And therefore, anything that was decided on behalf of Parliament was done by the office of the president. It is subsequent moves, including the move by the Honorable Peter Oluwaringo, that tried to give Parliament its independence, such that the budget for Parliament comes directly to Parliament. And therefore, we need to break these issues into a number of components. One component is about raising of the packs for members of Parliament. The other one is anchoring into the law the work of Parliament and the way parliamentarians shall be remunerated, so that we do not have to rely on executive. Remember, the Parliament as it is has been assaulted by SRC through the instigation by the executive, because the executive does appoint the chair and the committee of SRC. This therefore means, because the members of Parliament are not earning what I was earning when I was a member of Parliament 10 years ago. They are earning less, 540,000. And if you take a mortgage of 20 million, assume even there is no interest, and you are supposed to pay within 50 months, you will be paying 400,000, and you are left with 140,000. What is happening, and Kenyans should be aware of this. The president may be well-meaning, but I do not agree with them at all. The moment you assault members of Parliament, you are making them to be queuing in offices.
Yeah, Honorable Kirwa, how are they assaulted? Because really, at the end of the day, the amount of money they're earning is a salary which has been decided and regularized. Why would they need to earn more? What is the justification for earning more?
No, I'm not talking about earning more. I'm talking about the law. We need to anchor, just like any other independent commission on the law, so that executive does not wake up tomorrow and say, remove this from members of Parliament. Members of Parliament are supposed to be directly involved with the constituents. The executive has no business whatsoever pretending to preside over issues of parliament.
All right. Weda, do you think there's any justification for members of parliament to get a pay rise or some of the benefits that they're asking for right now?
They don't have at all. I think the president should not say that he will reject the bill. Our concern is just the sections where they are covering some increases for their houses and their health and all these things. It is only in parliament where you find people who ordinarily they didn't own even a board, even a pick. But immediately become a parliamentarian, you have a state-of-the-art four-wheel drive car, you have been given a mortgage, and you become suddenly very rich. It's only in parliament. And that's why I think when the argument comes that, oh, when you are given a mortgage, you take a mortgage, and there's a deduction, a mortgage is a choice. It is like you take your salary, then you take a loan, you buy a house, then you say, you are not paying me enough. Currently, the current situation in the country, things are a bit tough. Therefore, those who are earning a million plus, like them, and being given cars and bodyguards and all sorts of things and whatever, and they eat five-star hotel class from Gideri and Kumawiki in Seme, where I come from. I think it's the wrong time, and I think the president should be very strong, and we are watching and we are waiting, and nobody should increase. If they find the job of being a member of parliament too heavy, too hectic, let them go back to IMF or World Bank, where they have been working, and then let them leave it for us who are willing to work at a quarter the pay.
Honorable Mtambo, you are a former member of parliament, and Kenyans generally are for their opinion based on, if you ask most of the people, they will tell you that they don't find any justification as to why members of parliament need an increase in their pay. After all of us who work within certain job classifications. So if their job classification is to earn 400,000 shillings, then you live within your means.
The moment we ask wrong questions, we'll always get wrong answers.
That's true.
And nothing starts wrong. Nothing goes wrong. It starts wrong. And it starts wrong by asking a wrong question. I will not ask whether the members of parliament are justified to hide their salary. I would be asking a question, are Kenyans getting the value of what they are paying? It doesn't matter whether you pay 1 shilling and you are not getting value of it. It doesn't matter whether you are paying $1 billion and you are getting value of it. What is the work of a member of parliament? Are we getting the value of what we are paying them even today? But we are paying them 500,000 shillings. Are we getting value of it? And are we happy with what they are doing? These are the kind of questions we need to be asking ourselves, and the moment we hold it to that question, then we will get to understand how much we should pay members of parliament.
That is true, but the reason why there is an uproar as to why they should have their packages increased or not increased is because Kenyans are saying we're not getting value. We don't see what it is that they're being paid for. What value are they giving us for the amount of money they're being paid?
So why are you paying them 500,000 today?
Well, that is what the SRC has.
So are you happy to pay 500,000 for nothing? So if you are happy to pay 500,000 shillings for nothing, you should be happy to pay 1 million for nothing. That's my argument. What we need to understand, that the work of a member of parliament is well described in constitution.
Correct.
Do we adhere to it? The answer is no. Do we have members of parliament doing what they're supposed to be doing? I have been a member of parliament, and I'm sorry. I was so much perturbed when I was sitting in a committee, and you see members coming in, they sign and they go. And they leave you there alone, or 2-3 members, to deliberate, and at the end of the day, you don't come up with anything. I am so disturbed when you look at the parliament, even when they're discussing their own salaries, and even when they're discussing pertinent bills like to that gender, you'll barely see empty seats. So what are you paying for Kenyans? That is the question I'm asking. We need to understand what we are paying for. The debate of how much we should pay parliament should not arise at this. It's premature. Whether they deserve or they don't deserve, I need to understand what am I paying for.
Okay.
And unless we get it that way, we will keep on hankering, we will keep on tossing the question left, right, center. President will be saying, I will not send the bill. Well, there's one question, there's a cap on it. Yes. The president may not send the bill. But what does our law say? If the president does not assent the bill, he'll return it back to parliament, maybe with a memorandum or something. If he does not sign it within 14 days, what will happen?
It becomes law.
Yeah.
All right, Honorable Kirwa.
Well, I think, Michael, we are missing the point. And this vilification of members of parliament, I'm not a member of parliament myself now, but I was there for 20 years, and I know what we go through. We started with a salary of 18,000, paid by the office of the president, and at times they could choose not to pay us, just as a way of punishing us. What I'm saying is that let us anchor whatever the president has in his wisdom should be to remove whatever the members want to add onto themselves. And remember, even whatever they pass is not for this parliament, it is for the next parliament. But what is important is let us anchor it in the law. Let us not allow a situation where we do not know who is going to deal with these things and allow the executive. You know, democracy in Africa has been assaulted by the executive. People will start like very good, benevolent dictators like Uhuru now, but increasingly they are going to take away power from parliament, the way President Moi took it. And there is nothing that will stop the next president from assaulting parliament. Let us allow independence of parliament. They can earn even 200,000, but that 200,000 must be anchored in a process that is informed by the law.
By the law.
Yeah.
Weda?
Thank you. I think the best time Kenya has received services from parliamentarians was the time Honorable Kirwa was in parliament. Those days, Kirwa, Wasingo, Machofi, Shekuku, all these things. And that time, it was a service. They were earning very little.
Yeah.
Now they are a problem because they're earning too much. A parliamentarian in Kenya earns more than a doctor, more than a university professor, more than any person in public service. They earn more. What do? Eating nicely and then coming and saying what. When it comes to the gender bill, they don't discuss it. When there's lack of quorum, when it comes to increasing the parks, the house is full. We are therefore saying, independence we accept, it's very good, but increasing 1 shilling for their girlfriends and relatives, and then in their pockets and their cars and their houses, let them buy plots of land and build decent Babati houses if the millions they are earning cannot. Otherwise, now we are hurting. We are hungry. There's nothing much. There's no food. Please, President, be tough from these guys.
Let me advise Kenyans. If you are not streetwise, don't join politics. If you want to die poor in this country, join politics. If you are not streetwise.
But
what do I mean? Let me tell you.
Okay.
And I want you to take audit. How many former members of parliament do we have in this country? Look at their status after they leave the office. They barely afford a meal. Why? You need to ask ourselves this question. Do you want to have people who have served you as a member of parliament dying in poverty? How many do we have today? I meet so many in Matatus. Why? Let me tell you, the privilege you see them enjoying when they are, serving, it ends immediately. You don't get re-elected. It is only those, it is the fitness for the, the survival for the fittest. It is only those who are streetwise like Mheshimiwa Kirwa here, who can drive a Prado in the street.
But Honorable Mtambo, the thing is...
What I want to clear is the notion of that members of parliament are rich. They are not. I can tell you for free. But when I went to parliament, and I have no problem, you can check my account. When I went to parliament, my account was reading over 20, 30, 40 million. Before I left that house, my account was negative. I don't know what.
But you see, Honorable Mtambo, it is down to prudence. If you're not prudent with the money that you're given, even right now, those who are employed, regardless of the job description that you have, if you're not careful with the resources that you have and the money that you have, you'll definitely become poorer when you leave office. Maybe some of them, the reason why they become poorer is because the lifestyle that they have adopted while in parliament, they try and live it after, yet they cannot afford it.
Can I tell you how the lifestyle comes? The moment you are elected a member of parliament, that morning, you have to expand your cooking pot.
But
whether you like it or not.
But that is a choice.
It is something you cannot go away with.
It is a choice.
It's not a choice. It's a culture which we have.
Yes,
and
which is a
choice. To remove this culture, it will take ages, my friend. Let me tell you, the moment you declare to testify as a member of parliament, the following day you will get an invitation card.
And then that's the bad manners that we need to get rid of.
It's a culture we need to discuss. Let me tell you, the issues of being a politician is an issue to be debated in this country.
Yes, can I ask a question?
Yes.
this job, which is so difficult, people come, you increase your port, from 30 million to negative, all these things. How comes you are rushing for it? Why do you enter into it? Why not just do the job where you are getting the 30 million? If you look at statistics, we can count. Your party leader went in. He's still there so many years. Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, Raila Odinga, Uhuru Kenyatta, William Samoei Ruto was a hustler. Now he has a jet. All these people. Which factories are they running? Other than politics and being elected and being in. If you see all of us, where I was willing to abandon legal practice and preaching the word of God, politics, please, we know inside there are some very nice steak meat, caviar, so on and so forth. That is why we are fighting for it. Today we don't want them to increase even 1 shilling. We are tired.
You know, you're asking the question, but it should be answered. First of all, it is not just a song to be a member of parliament. That's why not many go. There are only 290 constituencies and other positions. Number two, the picture is not as rosy as Kenyans paint. But also remember the hierarchy of needs. And in any human society, if you don't have an ego, then you have no business going to politics. Why you stood in Seme the other day is because of that ego trip. You are traveling.
And 1 million salary.
Oh, no. I don't think, during my time, it was not informed by salary. It was informed by you want to assess.
But Honorable Kiro,
authority.
honestly speaking, what are we saying to Kenyans? Because majority of the members of parliament we see, maybe there are those few cases where after, you know, things don't seem to be working out, but majority come out much better than they came in within a very short time, which does not necessarily follow the laws of economics. So something is...
No, I think, Michael, we are getting a narrative that all politicians are dirty. And therefore, if there is one dirty politician that we know...
No, not dirty, not dirty. What we're saying, what I'm saying is majority of them do have very... Let's say they're wealthy, they're well off. But when you look at the amount of time that they spend in parliament and come out well off, then it leaves questions. No. What is it that they do that makes them...
No, let me answer. At times you are dealing with a facade. The fact that I'm driving a Prado or Mercedes does not mean that I'm wealthy. There are more people who are wealthy or wealthier than I am who are driving smaller vehicles, because today if I went to the village in a smaller car, people will wonder what has happened to me. So at times it's make-believe. It's a facade that you are chasing. But the truth of the matter is that there is no time. I told you I started with 18,000 shillings as a member of parliament. I ended with 1 million shillings as a minister. And yet there is no time I had enough money to deal even with personal issues. So it is just a facade. We are just putting on a face because we don't want to make our society look so bad. But what is worrying me is the narrative that all politicians, they have got ill-gotten wealth. Because 1 or 2 politicians may be doing that today. So that we say all politicians are bad. And therefore so-and-so, despite the fact that he's so dirty, is the better of the lot.
So the question then would be, why allow the facade to continue? Because it injures you as a politician, as a member of parliament, in the sense that, just like Honorable Mtambo has said, the minute you get elected, then you have to increase your cooking pot. So why keep that facade? Why not just be honest? That's like one member of parliament, I think it was a member of parliament, who went for a Harambee and gave 2,000 shillings.
That guy will not go back. Let me tell you, he will not go back. I can assure you. He will not go back. But also the most important thing, and this is something I've repeated this morning, it is not, for me, it is not the salary that I'm looking at. I'm looking at anchoring this issue in the law. So please, let's not spend time saying members of parliament want to increase salary for themselves. You are vilifying individuals who may never even benefit, because natural attrition process provides 50% of members of parliament don't go back. And therefore, 50% of whoever is in the house today will not go back.
Okay.
And therefore, they will not benefit.
Let me tell you this, and I want you to take an audit. Most of the properties in this country, even in your village, they are not owned by politicians. It is only that the cameras are not focused on those people. If you focus cameras on certain individuals in this country, you'll be shocked how few the rich they are than the members of parliament. Actually, members of parliament borrow from those people. I can tell you from in my small town called Mwingi, there are flats and flats and flats. and there is only one member of parliament. Who owns those buildings? There are so many vehicles in this city which are not owned by members of parliament. When Sonko tried to say matatus should not come to town, he was in for a rude shock. Vehicles came to town. What does that tell you? So many Kenyans, they have money, but it's only that the cameras are not focused on them. But today, because I'm a member of parliament, when I come out from this place, 3, 4, 5 cameras are on me. And I become a public figure. Everybody wants to know what I wear, how is my shoe, and everything. So, like my friend, they will try to do something in the summer.
Yes.
He becomes a focus. But I can tell you there are more people in that place who are more richer than him. So what we are trying to say, we are not doing enough to find out where our money is going. We are only focusing in one section, parliament, and we are negating others to get scot-free.
All right.
If we turn our guns to those other people, maybe we can recover more than we are trying to recover from members of parliament.
All right, gentlemen, we are out of time. I'll need your closing remarks. Let me start with you, Weda, on the way forward on this. And should the president refuse to assent to that bill?
I think the president should look at the bill, the one that is creating independence, anchoring the Parliamentary Service Commission into the modern constitutional dispensation. It should be able to accept, then do a memorandum rejecting any increase, direct, implied, or insinuated by these people. And then my message to members of parliament, if you find it too expensive, too demanding, the people are too much on you, they eat your food, they drink your milk, they come to your house, they want your arambe, what you do is you are the one who went to their job. Get out of it and you'll never see us in your house. We will not call you. But if you are in our job, earning our salary, our funerals are yours. Right. Our problems are yours. Please, let's get this clear.
Honorable Kirwa, very briefly, your closing remarks.
Well, I think we just need to do an audit of the entire society so that we inform ourselves on what is reasonable for Kenyans and what is not reasonable. Otherwise, isolating members of parliament as the villains is misdirecting our effort.
All right, Honorable Mtambo.
Yeah, like I said before, I would ask myself, what am I paying for?
The value.
It's not the question of who should be paid what. And we are talking about members of parliament. Have we ever asked ourselves, the CEO of Safaricom, how much he earns? Have we asked ourselves that question?
The issue...
And don't you know that money is your money?
And that has been negotiated within a corporate environment.
Thank you, and that is what Kirwa now is talking about. Let us now put it on a paper. If it is a corporate world, but where does that money come from? Is it being paid by Ugandan shillings or Kenyan shillings?
No, Kenyan shillings.
And where does that money come from? From me, from Kirwa, from others. Where does the members of parliament get their money from? From you. It is the same. It is coming from the same pocket. It doesn't matter whether it is corporate. It doesn't matter whether it is judiciary. It doesn't matter whether it is
that, Honorable Mtambo, is a blue chip company like that has already justified the money by delivery. It is performance-based. It is
Thank you. Now you come to my point.
Yes,
it is by performance. So that means my point is valid. What are members performing well? This is the question.
And,
so you come back to
from the outcry of Kenyans, they are not performing well, and as a result, they're being overpaid. I think we'll have to wind it up right there. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us this morning. That's Ambrose Weda, who's a lawyer, Honorable Kipruto Arap Kirwa, Deputy Party Leader for ANC, and Honorable Joe Mtambo, who's a former Member of Parliament for Mwingi Central. It's now 28 minutes to 8 o'clock. Shortly, we're going to be talking to Bishop Eliud Wabukala, who is the chair of the EACC, and also just finding out how we are doing in that front. But for now, we'd just like to take a look at what's happening in the city, and we'll take a shot of Kenyatta Avenue. I understand it is raining, and according to the weatherman, it is expected to be a wet December. So there, as you can see, traffic is flowing, and even after Mike Sonko, the governor for Nairobi, declared that now matatus can get into the CBD, it looks like traffic is flowing. However, it is a wet morning, so if you've not left your home, ensure that you are prepared for a wet Thursday morning. So let's just continue looking at those pictures. That's Kenyatta Avenue roundabout where traffic is flowing. In case you leave your house and you see any incidents on the road, feel free to let us know. We'll be more than happy to see whether we can keep everybody informed on the traffic situation. All right, it's now 25 minutes to 8 o'clock, and it's time for us now to get into person of interest. And this morning, I'm joined by Bishop Eliud Wabukala, who is the chairman of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Good morning, sir, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
And we'll start by, first of all, what many Kenyans would like to know. What is your biggest achievement so far since you took on the chairmanship of the EACC?
Well, a lot has been achieved since I took over in 2017. I think we have had stability at the EACC. Previously, you could hear of many, many changes, and I thank God that in the last 2 years, the staff and all of us have been focused on the corruption. I note that in that period, we succeeded to take to the DPP about 260 cases. And in the period of 5 years, totaling is about 765. It means half of that has happened during the time I went to the commission.
Okay. And what would you say has been your strategy for having those cases going in? We'll come to the point as to the value and the weight of those cases, but what would you say has been your strategy for making those cases get to the ODPP?
Well, I think staff have been very efficient and united in their work. We do prioritize cases that we take. One, we look at public interest of the we also look at the value of the matters involved in it. We also look at the personalities. But above all, we are dealing with corruption as it is in the entire society.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, and would like to just have you participate in this conversation as we go along, because you are welcome to do that, and you can do that via social media. The hashtag is KTN Morning Express. If you'd like to tweet, it's at KTN News, or you can tweet me directly, and that's at Michael G. Gitonga. Basically, what we're looking at is the scorecard, as it were, of the EACC and the chairmanship of retired Archbishop Eliud Wabukala, which has been a tenure, and he has given us the statistics. The 260 cases so far have been taken to the office of the public prosecutor. We also have 765 cases in total since he took the helm of the institution. Now, Kenyans of course are looking at or have looked at the EACC as one that would solve our issue when it comes to corruption. Do you feel that you have enough power as an institution to at least put enough people behind bars, or at least for them to be charged accordingly for this vice of corruption to be dealt with?
Well, fighting corruption is a very interesting matter because it involves a lot of things, and it should be tackled in a united way. I would want to say that all agencies and the public should be part of this, because EACC basically does its job. Then, of course, the DPP does the prosecution, and at the tail end, it's the judiciary to deliver the goal. And so I think that for us to be effective, we need a very robust synergy in all these agencies.
Okay. Now, we see the number of cases that you've presented before, the courts, and that's a total of coming to almost 1,000, really, which some might say is a good score. However, we've not seen any convictions. What is the problem?
Well, we have had convictions. I want to say that since I went to that office, we have actually secured 134 were accepted by DPP, and we have achieved about 97 convictions.
High profile?
Well, high profile, they are going on. Yes, we did. This cemetery thing in Nairobi, those are high profile cases. We have had some permanent secretaries in.
But we've had very high profile members of society who basically have walked scot-free under the EACC. What exactly is the problem? And the argument has been that if we had high-profile members of society face justice, it then communicates a very strong message that the EACC, one, is on point on doing their work, and two, government is serious about having the vice dealt with?
Well, I think I need to get back to the whole genesis of fighting corruption and the structure of us in the way we deal with it. One, to deal with corruption, first we need to have harsh punishment, a very stringent law, and punishing those who are found guilty heavily. You know, even in the Bible they say that the wages of sin is death. It's a very serious thing. I would want to say that that should be the focus.
What do you think would be a harsh punishment for that?
Well, there are custodial punishment sentences that can be passed, and particularly on the big people. This is a challenge which we must address, that the big people, when they reach at the court level, they find all types of excuses, and they go scot-free.
Scot-free.
If I was allowed to suggest a solution, I would say EACC should be allowed to have prosecutorial powers. It should be allowed to be given a whole bench of corruption judges so that we have a seamless process up to the end. We have done quite a lot, but we need now to synergize.
So in that process, Bishop, are you then saying that failure is not on the EACC, but is possibly on the part of prosecution and the judicial?
Well, I wouldn't apportion failure so much as it is now, because every part of us is independent in terms of our work. And a lot of synergy has been on, like our office and the DPP's office. If you look at the concurrence level of the cases we take, there's over 95%, which means that we are doing our work together very well.
But when you say you're doing your work very well, then the judiciary will come back and say that the reason why we've not had convictions is because the cases are weak.
But I can also tell you that they have not yet concluded these cases. They have not yet concluded. So we cannot say that there have been no convictions. Most of the cases that we have sent there are actually still in the process.
Okay, so are you confident that with time Kenyans will see cases that are going to be brought before?
Yeah, because our challenge is that the cases take too long. And I think that's a challenge. We need to define a time when a case goes to court, it should be concluded at a certain time. You know, like the election cases. They have been given a timetable. I think we need also the same.
All right, so from your end, you've been sitting on that chair now for a while. What do you see as the solution other than, blame shifting to other institutions? Where does EACC lie in terms of having the dragon of corruption, as it's been?
Well, I would suggest quite many things. One, a very strong political will, which we have today. That is mandatory for the fight against corruption. Two, we need to have an efficient wealth declaration management regime. Why I say this is that people, like I have heard some members of parliament say, you go to parliament today, you are rich, or you go to an institution tomorrow, you are very rich. We need to have a lifestyle audit, management of declaration of wealth.
Which is in place.
Which is, of course, it is in place, but it's not, the law is not good, because if you declare your wealth today, the form that you have declared to me is still your personal private property.
So it needs to be surrendered.
Yes, for instance, to get it, we have to ask you for your permission. We go to court. The court will ask you to agree or not to agree. I think that is a mockery. So we need to make that law clear. When I declare my wealth, it should be a public property. And then we shall monitor that. Now, secondly, we need a strong law enforcement regime. By that I mean have custodial statement, punish them, the looters, seriously.
And from what you're saying, I get the feeling that you feel the punishment that is there so far is not harsh enough.
It has not arrived at the point where I feel that it actually pays for the efforts we put in. I can assure you, in the way I see it in the office, our investigators, our lawyers, these people work day and night to get all these things. But then, if at the end, this person goes free, they laugh at us and say, after all, why did you take us there?
So what do you think is a punishment that would be commensurate to the work that you put in, and secondly, to be a deterrent?
I think the law has defined those punishments, and those who deal with it should give the maximum of what the law has.
So do you feel like there is a collaboration maybe between those who are corrupt and maybe those who are enforcing those laws to a point where they're not?
I wouldn't reach that because, as I said, most of the big cases are still in the process and they are taking too long. And therefore, there needs to be a definition of how long a case that goes to court should be concluded.
Okay. Other recommendations?
So, the other recommendation I would say, there should be automation of processes. Actually, if we look at ICT and automate most of the processes in public offices, that will reduce the interaction between the public and and officers. So we need to look at innovations that automate our public services. That will help us to that. Then lastly, maybe, and which is for me the most important, no, two. One, public education and awareness that elicits action. For example, today we are here because we are celebrating the International Day of Anti-Corruption. The whole world is going to celebrate this day on the 9th of Sunday. EACC is beginning in this week to bring this awareness to the people that the whole world has put corruption as a very serious issue in development, and therefore we are focusing on the awareness of the public. Now, when the public are aware of corruption, of the dangers of corruption, we ask them to act. We want awareness that elicits action so that we prevent corruption. But above that, the culture of glorifying those who have looted, the culture of indifference to issues of corruption. I think these are issues that we as Kenyans need to look at very seriously.
Okay. You've mentioned that we have the celebration of the International Day of the Anti-Corruption coming up. Do Kenyans have anything to celebrate when it comes to
We need not just celebrate, but we need to be aware. If you don't want to celebrate, yes, you have a point, but you need to be aware that we are not alone in this, that the whole world has declared corruption as an important issue that affects them, and they want to deal with it. And so we are joining the international community.
But as the chair of the EACC, do you feel there's anything that Kenyans should be happy about in regards to fight against corruption?
So I think I should encourage us to hold on to it, because as from the last few months or years, you can see there is that focused attention. And basically, we are very serious at the moment.
Well, if I look at my notes rightly, it's a fight that we have had since independence. So really, what has changed? What is it that we can look up and say, okay, fine, now we have something that we can, as Kenyans, look up to and hold on to and say that this is the fight? Because if it's about presidents, we had Moi saying he's going to fight corruption. We had Kibaki saying he's going to fight. So what has changed?
I think there's a lot that has changed. One, we have a wonderful political opportunity. And I said this in this studio last time, that let us seize the moment, because we have a very strong political will, 100% from the president. He has told us without mincing words. That's an opportunity. It may not be there for too long, and I think we should celebrate that and work on it.
And work on it.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to pause you there, and I'd want us to take a short break, a short commercial break. It's now 10 minutes to 8. With me in studio, we have retired Archbishop Eliud Wabukala, who is the chairman of the EACC. We'll take a break. We'll be right back and conclude on this interview.
This is KTN News.